Adam Melchor live on Austin City Limits Radio. So we've had this string the last, 10 days or so. We had Louis Capaldi in here. Then we had Noah Kahn. And both of them are sad white guys.
Mm-hmm.
And
Same.
They do this sad white guy thing. You, though, have these sad songs that have these clever turns. They're not funny necessarily, but they're somehow lighter, even though they're about dark things.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of stand-up comedy. So I remember when I was first sort of starting to play live and try to look at people who are doing it and stuff like that. I really was attracted to people who didn't really take themselves too seriously in between the songs. It sort of gives it a cool context. I love somebody like John Mayer. I feel like he does that very well, where he'll tell this really strange story, you're talking to him across at a bar or something. Then all of a sudden he plays this song and it's filling an arena. And it's very. I think it's easy with this, the biography or the biology of an acoustic guitar and a white guy to take things very seriously, sort of thing. So it's sort of nice to be able to, I try to incorporate, some of that aspect of sarcasm and, lighter things into this world, because that's sort of how I see these things anyway. I don't really see it as black or white. It's sort of there's a nuanced gray area in a lot of things where it's oh yeah, that sort of wasn't the best thing in the world, but looking back on it, it's kind of funny, it could be, and then it's oh, well, I actually, did this because of it and did this, so yeah, I try to present that in my music as much as possible.
One of the guys that before he was known for deadpan live comedy was known for his hair was Lyle Lovett.
Oh yeah.
You've got this head of hair that's become something of a trademark. How high have you let that thing go?
So I think the longest, I actually donated my hair in college, and I think I had cut, I think it was 8 inches off. I think it was the minimum to actually donate it. But even then, I was like, man, I really could join the NBA. If it was 1960 or 1970, I might actually fit in with a headband and high shorts,
Is that kind of hair good for confidence? Because you walk out the door that much taller than you normally are.
Totally. And I already know it looks horrible, so it's this is great. I don't really have to take care of myself too much when I leave the house. I can just sort of leave and just be well, this is the best I can do,
What do you remember about South by Southwest?
Oh, I remember South by Southwest as being, the locals might hate this, but very, very easy to bring my body around with my guitar on one of those scooters. I feel like there was the scooters are making it very easy for me to go up to okay, there's something in 30 minutes, gotta go over there and scoot over and put it on. And I know that it's not the best system of transportation, but at South by Southwest, it was very, very helpful. And besides that, a lot of friends being down there, a lot of barbecue was eaten. I actually got to try some things out, which is always great. Because a lot of times in cities, you sort of spend 24 hours or less, and most of it is less. So it was nice to be here, for about a week or so and do it. But
you know what's a terrible visual?
Yeah.
A New York singer-songwriter on a scooter pulling up to a barbecue stand during South by Southwest.
Yeah, and actually, it's so funny. I played at Franklin Barbecue, and I did not get to actually have the barbecue because I had a gig maybe I think it was 30 minutes afterwards. I took a scooter over there, and I think I was playing at the Empire Garage, and my manager was nice enough to bring me barbecue on stage. So I just was playing at the garage with the barbecue on stage, and I was there's nothing more Austin about this than right now, and I felt very at home. So thank you guys for having me.
Tonight, you'll find him at Emo's with Doty, and then back in town on the 17th with Mount Joy. Where is that show? Scoot In. Okay. So that's on the 17th of October. Talk briefly about Joyride.
Yeah.
Song about divorce. Again, not a song that's a dark divorce song.
Yeah, yeah. You know, so growing up, my parents were very chill about everything. I didn't really have like a curfew, or they were just like pretty much just like make it back to the house alive. And I remember like the first time really realizing that was when I think I was around 6 or 7, and we had this truck in our driveway, and the truck just never moved at all, just like total dust collector. And one day it just like wasn't there anymore, so I was like, oh cool, my parents got rid of it. So I walked downstairs, and they're like sort of just looking out the window like a long like 100-yard stare, and I was like, oh, what's going on? And they're like, oh, I think somebody stole the car, and I was like, oh yeah, that's not good. And they're like, nah, it's okay. It's just a thing. It's, what can you do? We're impressed that they even got it to run. And I was like, guys, I like don't think this is how adults should be, even as like a 6-year-old. Like, I know I just got here on Earth, but this doesn't seem like the move. And they were like, yeah, no, it's okay. It's, maybe, like the cops will find it. Well, we're surprised. Like, we'd be surprised if they even like got away with it, honestly, because the car was so bad. And so we sort of just go about the day. I think they made me breakfast, and then about like 45 minutes later, like a police officer shows up with like a tow truck bringing the car back in, and he was like, sir, like, are you Mr. Melchor? And my dad's like, yes. And he said, this is your car, like, we're gonna put it back in your driveway. And he was like, do we have to? Is it cool if we bring it somewhere else? And he's like, absolutely not. This is your property. Like, we have to give it back. And they had this weird back and forth. So finally, my dad is like, okay, great. So he gets rid of it the next week, and was like, yeah, I guess if they just, if they knocked on the door, we would have just given it to them. They didn't even have to steal it, really. So, and so, going back to, how this relates to my parents getting divorced is I had a friend ask me if my parents were still together in LA. I'm just sort of new there. I live there now. And it's sort of, you get like surface level questions and deeper questions. And they were like, oh yeah, are your parents still together? And I was like, no, but it actually was pretty easy because they were very chill about things and they're happy now, And she was like, oh, that's like so strange. Like, that doesn't usually happen. And I was like, yeah, I guess not, And so she was like, when was the first time you really realized like your parents were this chill? And I was like, oh, well, there's the story of this truck, So I tried to just make the correlation between the two. And, sometimes things are just like better off, getting let go, So, and that's what the song is sort of about.